Hello, my name is Jenna Lee. I'm a contemporary artist based in Australia, in Melbourne, and I have Aboriginal and mixed Asian descent, and that really comes into my work. And today I'm sitting in Gertrude Glasshouse at my solo show called Burn Before Reading, which is a show that explores language and the environment and cycles involving fire. I'm very interested in the way that our environment comes back to life after disasters, and the leaves that are in my show are actually made from book paper of a book that shows or records Aboriginal language but doesn't say where the word has come from. So I sometimes explain it as being the same as having a dictionary of Asian language but not saying if a word is Korean or Japanese or Thai. There's so much difference between the languages in Australia. We had 250 Aboriginal languages and 850 dialects or over that. And this book really flattens all of that and removes a lot of important information. So I work with that book, I pull it apart, and then I put it back together in a way that has new information. We're sitting in my solo exhibition at Gertrude Glasshouse. And this is a solo presentation connected to a studio that I have at a place called Gertrude Contemporary. And I have a studio residency there for 2 years. And a part of that program, I have a solo exhibition. And this is my show. I have been working on this body of work for quite a long time. I was really interested in using materials also that came from Gertrude. So the beam of wood that is a part of this show is left over from a previous exhibition at Gertrude, and then myself and one of the staff burnt the wood with blowtorches and fire to capture the material, echoes of fire. So I wanted fire to be present in the show because in Australia we have an environment that requires fire to survive. It's a really interesting environment. The work, Burn Before Reading, is a single installation that runs down the length of the gallery space, and it mimics a eucalyptus tree. So in the Australian environment, after a fire, you can go for a walk through the bushland, and what you'll see in the bush is black eucalyptus trunks sprouting new green leaves. This is a really unique environmental phenomenon to eucalyptus. So they have dormant buds that lay beneath the bark, and the bark is actually designed in many, many layers that actually protect the bud. So a fire will happen and the tree will know to shoot these buds. And so when you go on a walk through the Australian bush after a fire, it's completely black except for neon green new leaves. And so I really wanted to capture that in the colour, and I used neon green calligraphy ink. It was really important for me that it was calligraphy ink because then it was like I was writing over the book paper, and the leaves are very specifically eucalyptus leaves. With all of the installations I create, I really am thinking about how someone's body is in relationship to it. So a lot of the works I create, I'm trying to capture a feeling, and for me this show is the feeling of a bushwalk after a fire, but I'm also, the kind of subtext to that is also trying to capture the context for Larrakia words that wasn't recorded. So our language was almost lost, but it was recorded, but very, very poorly. So we have kind of lists of words, but they don't give any substance. So I create installations as a way of translating these books to give more information that we lost. And so for me in this show, I want people to experience what it feels like to relearn language, those little moments of learning a new language when you understand a word or can communicate better. I think it is really beautiful and it is small, but it's lots of small little moments in learning language that kind of, I guess, to use a metaphor, will culminate in a forest. So that was really what I was thinking about with this body of work, but also with all of the installations I make. They center around a word or a concept of language.
What does making art mean to you?
That's a good question. I was asked a little while ago why I make art, and I found it really hard to answer because it feels like I can't do anything else. I think lots of artists feel that way, that we have to make this work. And for me, it really is, in a way, it's quite selfish because I make these works to help me understand the world and to help me learn. But ultimately, I think what artists do then is quite generous, and then they share that with people. I was talking to a friend who's a chef, and I think what chefs do, what artists do, are actually very similar. So we create things specifically to share with other people. And so I've kind of, a lot of people think that maybe being an artist is like a fun career, but I think it's a very generous career, that we make these things, but then we want other people to experience them. And I think if I was not like that, I would still be interested in these things, but I would be researching just for myself. So yeah, I think I don't know how else I could be. And at this point in time, I don't have plans to retire. I think I'll just make art until I die. But yeah, I really wanted to make a space where people could feel. And I think hopefully the next time someone goes on a walk in nature, you can start to really notice different things. And even if it's just the color of leaves, I find that really beautiful. And I think to go on a walk or a bushwalk in Australia is an exercise in like looking and listening. And so it's not just about going on a walk to get to the other place. And this work, while it is about fire and language and loss and colonialism in Australia, it's actually also about how much I love bushwalking. So I kind of hope that inspires people to maybe look a bit closer at leaves and also think about the world around us. My art practice as a whole over the last 5 years, and I guess since beginning, but the last 5 years has been really focused in on the loss of language. So for a period in time in Australia's history, the speaking of Aboriginal languages was restricted. It's what I would term a colonially enforced linguicide. So a linguicide is a means in which an occupying force erases culture through the removal of language, and that happened here and is felt very, very strongly, particularly around Australia's cities. So anywhere there was kind of large colonies established, the history of Australia is quite dark when it comes to the treatment of First Nations people and was a genocide. And so while my works are always about these beautiful moments in the Australian environment, there's this really, really dark place that it comes from. And there are so many incredible First Nations artists and academics and thinkers and writers and poets, and we're all collectively rebuilding. And I feel like it's a very special community to be a part of. And I think the way that I knew that I could contribute to kind of keeping these things alive and rebuilding these things was through art. And so I've been really, really focused on that. My traditional land is around Darwin in the Northern Territory, so very far north. So that means I also live away from all of my family. So I'm not able to learn the language through conversation. A lot of my family are really wonderful speakers now. They can speak to each other in language. But because I live away, quite far away, the way that I do it is through creating art. And I'm very conscious of the fact that if my work is documented, Larrakia language is then recorded. So it's a different way of recording language, that it can be visually through art. And I have aunties and uncles and cousins who do it verbally or through storytelling or dance or ceremony. But for me, it can be done through art. So it's this hard topic to kind of talk about in a way, because it's quite dark, but I've always wanted my art to be very beautiful, because I'm making it for other Aboriginal people and I don't want it to be harmful. Like, we don't want to keep perpetuating the harm, but it's important to capture what was done, but then look at how we are, I guess, re-sprouting, re-flourishing after that, which is a little bit of a play in the title, which is burn before reading. It's this idea of, you know, what we're doing after the burn. Yeah. Good. You're right, I actually get that. Yeah.